sort of think like, okay, I have this good idea. I know that there are a couple of things that I'm going to need to do. So, like, in order to launch my business, I'm going to need to find somebody to package it. I'm going to need to find somewhere to cook it, like whatever it is, like you have in your head, the list of things that have to happen. Like, okay, I need to find a place to package my food. What are all the things that go into that? Are there requirements in terms of the serving size? Do you have to get a label, a nutrition label that goes on there? Is it freezer safe? Is it microwave safe? How do you want that to be used? Is it leak proof? What is the artwork? So what I found is that going from idea to launch is a much longer path and takes a lot longer than I think I expected when I first had the idea to launch a business.
The past year has put a lot of things into focus, and I felt very grateful for a lot of things that are, it's hard because, I don't have children. I have wonderful fur babies, but I'm not dealing with virtual school and kids at home and things like that, trying to work from home, because it has allowed the business to be pretty all-consuming. It's important to know when you're starting a business that it really is going to take over a lot of your life. Yeah, it's challenging.
There are probably elements of the work that we've been employed to do over time that we enjoyed, right? But I have never worked so hard and felt like every single minute was absolutely worth it, because I'm realizing my dream. Like, I'm doing something that means so much to me, and I'm finding means so much to my community. And there's nothing like it. It feels exhausting. It feels like the work never ends, but it just feels so worth it.
Some parts about having the business go online have allowed for a little bit more downtime and a little bit more of that balance. With the online business, it's been a little bit more possible to structure, to have kind of shorter hours in the shop, to get home at a reasonable hour and make dinner and hang out with family. I'm hoping to be able to add some of that as we go forward and not be here every day. A lot of that is building a good team, having people you can pass off responsibilities to. Most of us who have businesses are really passionate about what we do, and it is a challenge to say somebody else can take care of that, or things won't come crashing to the ground. I try and make sure to get up in the morning, spend a little time with my knitting. That's kind of almost like meditation for me. I'm really looking forward to doing some outdoor fun with my friends this summer, now that we're kind of seeing good trends in the world.
I think I learned more from this pandemic and the crash of the business of 8 and 9 than I have in any of the 33 years that I've been in business. But the key thing that I really feel like I learned from this pandemic is that everyone manages stress and challenges differently. And I think once I kind of wrapped my head around that when the challenges of the pandemic came. And I am so proud of my little team that we really worked towards each other's strengths and weaknesses and just figured out how to exist in that period of time, and still are. But I really feel like the thing I learned is that people operate differently in non-stressful times than they do in stressful times, and that you have to work around and sometimes retrain.
COVID has been like ultra concentrated small business ownership. So like a lot of the challenges of a global pandemic are really just the same challenges of running a small business every day, just like concentrated and multiplied. You have to study and research and have a plan, and then be ready to throw it all out the door and start from scratch. So, you have to have some grounding. You can't really go in totally knowing nothing, but you have to be prepared to know that you're going to have to change what you thought was a good idea, and you're going to have to pivot. And that's been a lot of the last year for us. You deal with a lot of that in daily business life, but it's just been ultra concentrated challenges.
So I'm a big walker. I like to wind down by walking. It is wonderful space for disconnecting with anything digital. I don't listen to anything audio. I don't listen to music. I listen to the universe of what I need to be hearing. And I also will put a question out, like, what do I need to, what should the title of my speech be? And then I listen. I walk and listen. Once we started getting over 5 clients, I was managing everything by myself. And I went to Dr. Dana Boyd. She had just gotten her PhD in organization with business. And I was like, help, I can't do it anymore. And what she did with me has stayed with me for 25 years. She took a stack of yellow sticky notes and said, okay, we're going to go over everything you do in the company. We wallpapered her office. And that what we did after that was we said, okay, this person's going to handle these 10 things. It was the turning point because I could scale up. I could then take on more clients and get a bigger staff because of delegation. And that right there is what I wished I had learned sooner.
One of the things that I have gotten comfortable with is being uncomfortable. It's the gut check. It's that like, okay, I'm uncomfortable right now, but like actively saying to myself, what am I uncomfortable with? And just like walk through it. Just like walk through that feeling of being uncomfortable and see what happens. I think it's really recognizing that I'm uncomfortable, figuring out what I'm uncomfortable with, and then like baby stepping my like, you can do this, like walk yourself through the email asking, walk yourself through the conversation, feeling like I've done my research and I don't have an answer. Like to me, that's always the sign, like it's time to pause and it's time to see who else you can bring into this work to help you get through that.
I think it was because I worked for a couple of very small businesses. I feel like that I learned from the very best, and the inspiration that they gave me that you too can do this, and the education of, skin knees and just anecdotal lessons that they gave me inspired me to want to give to other people exactly what they'd given to me. That was kind of my jumping off point of why I felt like I wanted to be in business.
If you've ever taken the values assessment test and it tells you what your number one value is, mine was freedom. I don't want to work for somebody else. I know I want a virtual office. I know I want to be able to travel and work from anywhere. My parents started the 2 publications in Washington, D.C., Shopping and Dining in Washington. So I grew up working in a small business, a mom and pop. When I moved to Georgia, my mother died very suddenly, and my father's business took a nosedive during a recession. It was hell. We lost the house. We lost health insurance. We lost everything. And then I remembered what my University of Maryland PR teacher said. You can get free publicity, free coverage if you submit a press release. So I submitted a press release saying the company was 30 years old, and we got beautiful coverage at the front page of the Washington Times on the money section. Anyhow, when we got stationed in Georgia, I said, I'm going to start my own business. I started concentrating on PR because I knew how powerful it was.
Leaving my full-time job and actually signing a lease to open my retail store. And I would talk to anybody that would listen about my business ideas. And some of those were people with businesses. Some of those were people I was asking for advice. Some of those were just friends that I was like, what do I think about this business name? I would talk to anybody that would listen to me. You can't talk to too many people. And you can't also, a lot of people said, why not online? Why a retail store? So you can't necessarily say, you can't let people shut you down. But it's so helpful to be able to talk to people, especially people that support you and want you to succeed.
did go to school in public relations, and I understood how to run a business, especially when I helped turn my father's business around. But never rest on that. You need to be doing something, I'm going to say daily, weekly, monthly. When I'm off, I'm listening to YouTube, I'm listening to LinkedIn courses, I'm taking courses, I'm signing up for conferences. Never stop learning. That is your competitive advantage of staying ahead. You have to, right now I'm reading this wonderful book called Upstream, and it's all about figuring out the root of the problem.
Because of my background and my history and, being raised in a home with a single mom and becoming a single mom very early in life, I didn't have a lot of the same opportunities, nor did I have a lot of money to search out other opportunities for education. And I started joining organizations and sitting around tables and listening and learning and sitting around a boardroom table when most of the people in the room have different experiences from you than you do. You learn from them. And that's where my education came from, was from the skills of others that were kind enough to hear me and listen. Things that I am not in control of. During the pandemic, the delivery challenges with all of the logistics companies in the world today, that I need something to be in Chicago 4 days from now, and it's supposed to get there in 3 because that's what the logistics company said it would be, and it doesn't get there for 8. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
I thought that I had to do everything on my own. So there would be things that I wouldn't understand in a class. Someone would throw out an acronym. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. And so I would go and I'd write it down and I'd Google it later and I would sort of understand, but then that would take me down like the path of like, no, I need to do more research because I don't know what that thing means or that thing means. And I wasted a lot of time, not to say that you shouldn't learn and be curious, but I wasted a lot of time trying to figure out things on my own rather than really leaning into my network or other women founders or any founders, but particularly women founders who were very helpful later in my journey. I think early on, I should have asked for help earlier. I could have saved myself a lot of time and energy, and even in many cases, money.